The courtroom held its breath, wrapped in the kind of silence that warns something explosive is only seconds away. Then the mayor's son walked in shoulders high, chin even higher, moving like the law was supposed to clear a path for him. Eyes followed him, not with respect, but with disbelief at how far privilege could strut. When Judge Judy finally looked up, he paused for half a heartbeat, then snapped. "You can't touch me," he shouted, his voice trembling under the weight of fake confidence. The room froze. Judge Judy didn't raise her voice, she just smiled. And that smile carried a promise. Something was about to crack wide open. What she did next didn't just shock the courtroom, it shattered his entire world. But before we jump in, tell me, where are you watching from? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The shout still trembles in the air when the judge finally moves. Not fast, not angry, just slow enough to make everyone feel the shift. The camera would catch it first. Judge Judy's hand sliding her pen across the desk, neat as a blade being set down. Her eyes stay on the mayor's son, Connor Harwick, like she is not staring at a person at all, but at a problem that thinks it is special. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Somewhere in the back row, someone swallows too loudly. Connor stands tall, shoulders locked, chin lifted like he is posing for a photograph. His suit is expensive and tight in the wrong places, as if confidence is something he ordered and wore without trying it on. His mouth is still twisted in that half smirk, but the tremor in his throat betrayed him when he shouted. He knows it. The room knows it. Judge Judy does not raise her voice. "Sit down," she says, gentle as a closing door. Connor does not sit at first. His attorney's hand touches his elbow, a quiet warning. Connor jerks away like contact is an insult. The bailiff shifts near the bench, silent, watchful. There is a moment where Connor seems to test the room, like he is searching for someone to rescue him. Someone important, someone invisible. He finally drops into the chair with a hard, careless thud. Judge Judy tilts her head. The smile returns, small and controlled. The kind of smile that does not mean humor. It means patience. It means time. Across from him, Lila stands at the plaintiff's podium. She is not dressed for power. She is dressed for survival. A plain blouse, hair pulled back, hands holding a folder so tightly her knuckles look pale under the courtroom lights. Her eyes keep flicking to Connor, then to Judge Judy, then down again. Like she is afraid of being seen and afraid of not being seen at the same time. Judge Judy's gaze softens for half a second when she looks at Lila. Then it sharpens again when it returns to Connor. "Mr. Harwick," she says, "do you know what happens to people who believe rules do not apply to them?" Connor lets out a short laugh that sounds practiced. "This is ridiculous. I am here because she is making things up. She is mad I did not help her business." Judge Judy's pen pauses. "You did not help her business? Is that what you call it?" Connor leans back, spreading his hands like a saint being accused. "I did not do anything. I cannot even believe we are wasting time on this," the audience murmurs. The bailiff's eyes narrow. Lila's lips part, but no words come out yet. Judge Judy leans forward. "Not much, just enough for the camera to feel the pressure. You shouted, 'You cannot touch me.' That is what you said. Why would you say that in a courtroom?" Connor's smirk tries to survive. "Because I know my rights." "Everyone has rights," Judge Judy replies. "Not everyone has manners." A ripple of suppressed sound moves through the gallery. Connor's attorney clears his throat, eager to interrupt, eager to steer. Judge Judy raises one finger without looking at him, and the man freezes mid-breath. Judge Judy keeps her eyes on Connor. "I am going to ask you one question. Answer it carefully." Connor's jaw tightens. His foot taps once under the table, a small betrayal of nerves. Judge Judy's smile fades, replaced by something colder. "If you truly did nothing wrong," she says, "then why does she look like she is still afraid of you?" Connor opens his mouth immediately, ready to crush the question with noise. But this time, the words hesitate. And in that hesitation, the courtroom leans forward. Because Judge Judy is not done speaking, not even close. Connor does not hesitate for long. He never does. The silence Judge Judy leaves behind is an invitation, and he rushes to fill it, straightening his jacket, smoothing his hair as if composure can be pressed back into place with the right gesture. The camera would catch the confidence returning to his posture, manufactured and glossy, like something practiced in a mirror. This whole thing is being blown out of proportion, he says, voice firm now, louder than before. She is upset because she thought knowing me meant guaranteed success. When that did not happen, she decided to blame me. Lila stiffens. Her fingers tighten around the folder. The paper inside rustles a nervous sound that feels too loud in the quiet room. Judge Judy does not look at Connor. She looks at Lila. Is that true? Judy asks calmly. That you expected something from him? Lila swallows. When she speaks, her voice is soft, but it does not shake. I expected him to stop threatening me. The word lands wrong for Connor. You can see it in the way his eyebrows twitch. Threatening? He scoffs, leaning forward now. That is dramatic. I gave advice. Hard advice. That is how business works. Judge Judy's gaze snaps back to him. Advice usually does not involve fear, she says. Continue. Connor shrugs, spreading his hands again. I told her the truth. Her business was failing. I said if she kept pushing this nonsense, people would stop taking her seriously. A murmur ripples through the courtroom. Lila's eyes drop to the floor. Judge Judy leans back in her chair, studying him. You told her people would stop taking her seriously. Yes, Connor replies quickly. That is reality. Did you tell her who those people were? Connor pauses. Just a flicker. Everyone, Judge Judy nods slowly. Everyone is a very convenient word. Connor laughs again, sharper this time. Look, I did not force her to do anything. I did not break the law. I am not responsible for how she feels. Lila lifts her head. You told me you would make sure I never got another permit in this city. Connor spins toward her. That is not what I said. Judge Judy raises a hand. Do not interrupt her. Connor freezes, lips pressed together, but his foot begins tapping again under the table. Lila continues, her voice gaining strength. You said you had friends. You said I should know how things work around here. Connor shakes his head, smiling like he is humoring a child. I said, I knew people. Everyone knows people. Judge Judy watches him closely now. The smile he wears does not reach his eyes. It never did. Mr. Harwick, she says. You are very comfortable talking. Connor grins. I have nothing to hide. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. People who have nothing to hide usually say less. Connor opens his mouth to argue, then stops himself, correcting course. I am just telling the truth. Judge Judy glances down at the folder in Lila's hands, then back up. Good, she says. Because lies have a habit of collapsing when they are styled too carefully. Connor chuckles, dismissive. This is all she has. Feelings. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. No, she says quietly. This is what you think she has. She pauses, letting the weight settle. And people who underestimate what someone brings into court, Judy adds, are usually the ones surprised by what comes out next. Connor shifts in his seat for the first time, discomfort flickering across his face before the smile snaps back into place. He does not notice the bailiff stepping closer to the bench, and he does not notice Judge Judy's eyes drift, just briefly, toward the folder like she already knows what is inside. The bailiff moves before anyone asks him to. That alone shifts the room. Leather shoes cross the floor, in measured steps, the sound precise, deliberate. He places a thin folder on Judge Judy's desk, not slammed, not announced, just set down, as if it has been waiting its turn to speak. The camera would linger on Connor's eyes the moment he sees it. The way they lock onto that folder like it might bite. Judge Judy does not open it yet. She lets it sit there. Connor notices the pause and forces a laugh, light and performative. What is that supposed to be? He asks, leaning back again. Reclaiming space. More paperwork? Because I have already explained everything. Judge Judy looks at the folder. Then, at him. "This," she says, tapping it once with her pen, "is what happens when explanations run ahead of facts." Across the aisle, Lila exhales. It is quiet, but it is relief. She loosens her grip on her own folder, just enough to breathe. Judge Judy opens the file slowly. Pages whisper against each other, contracts, printouts, dates lined up with surgical neatness. She reads without expression, eyes moving faster than Connor expects. His foot stops tapping. His jaw tightens. "You testified," Judge Judy says, not looking up, "that there was no agreement between you and the plaintiff." "That is correct," Connor replies quickly. "There was talk. Nothing formal." Judge Judy lifts a single page and holds it up. "Then you should have no trouble explaining why this document exists." Connor leans forward, squinting. "I have no idea what that is." Judge Judy's eyes finally meet his. "You recognize the layout?" Connor hesitates. "It looks like a draft. Anyone can draft anything." Judge Judy nods. "True. Anyone can draft. Not everyone can execute." She slides the document toward the camera, then back toward herself. "This is a service agreement. Your company letterhead. Your email footer. And a signature." Lila swallows hard. Connor waves a dismissive hand. "That signature is meaningless. It was never finalized." Judge Judy flips to another page. "You say it was never finalized, yet here are timestamps showing it was sent, returned, and archived." Connor's attorney leans forward. "Your Honor." Judge Judy raises one finger. The attorney stops instantly, mid-word. Judge Judy turns back to Connor. "You were very clear earlier. You said you did nothing." "I did nothing," Connor insists. "That does not mean people did not misunderstand me." Judge Judy tilts her head. "People misunderstand. Documents usually do not." She turns to Lila. "Did you sign this?" Lila's voice comes out steady, even though her hands shake. "No, I did not." Connor laughs, sharper now. "That is convenient." Judge Judy's eyes narrow. "Convenient for whom?" Connor opens his mouth, then closes it. "This is ridiculous. Anyone could have put that together." Judge Judy flips the page again, including the clause threatening permit delays if compliance was not met. The courtroom murmurs. Even the bailiff stiffens. Connor's smile falters. "That clause is standard language." Judge Judy finally sets the file down. "Standard," she repeats quietly. "Mr. Harwick, you seem very confident about documents you claim mean nothing." Connor straightens. "Because they do not." Judge Judy leans forward now, her voice calm, but colder than before. "Then you will not mind if we look at them very closely." She closes the folder with a soft click. "Because I assure you," she adds, "this is not the only copy." Connor's face tightens just for a second. But the damage is done. And for the first time since he walked in, he looks less like someone in control, and more like someone who just realized the room has teeth. Connor tries to laugh it off. That is his instinct. Humor as armor, noise as defense. The sound comes out wrong. Too quick, too sharp. It dies halfway through his throat like something realizing it should not exist. Judge Judy notices immediately. "Mr. Harwick," she says, calm as ever, "I am going to ask you to do something very simple." Connor straightens, rolling his shoulders back like he is preparing for a challenge. "Sure." She slides the folder toward him, stopping just short of his reach. "Read the highlighted portion." Out loud. The room stills. Connor glances at his attorney. The attorney does not meet his eyes. He looks down instead, pen frozen above his notes. Connor swallows. "Which part?" Judge Judy taps the page once. "The part you sent." Connor exhales through his nose and leans forward. His fingers brush the paper just barely, like he is afraid it might stain him. He clears his throat and begins to read. "If you continue to resist," he says, voice steady at first, "I will make sure your permits are delayed indefinitely. You should think carefully about who you are pushing." The sentence hangs in the air. Connor stops reading. Judge Judy does not speak yet. She lets the silence do its work. That is taken out of context, Connor says quickly, forcing a smile that does not survive the effort. That was not a threat. That was advice. Lila's head snaps up. Her voice cuts in before fear can stop it. You told me no one would listen to me if I fought you. Connor turns toward her, irritation flashing. I told you how the system works. Judge Judy's voice is quiet, but it lands hard. The system does not speak. People do. Connor shifts in his chair. His foot starts tapping again, faster this time. Judge Judy looks at him the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray. You said earlier that you never intended to intimidate the plaintiff. I did not, Connor insists. Then why? Judge Judy asks. Does your language sound like a warning instead of a suggestion? Connor opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Because tone is subjective. Judge Judy nods slowly. Fear is not. She turns to Lila. How did that message make you feel? Lila hesitates, then answers honestly. Like I was being cornered. Connor laughs, defensive. That is her interpretation. Judge Judy's eyes harden. No. That is her experience. Connor leans back hard, frustration slipping through the cracks. This is unbelievable. I am being punished for how someone chose to feel. Judge Judy leans forward, resting both hands on the desk now. The movement is small, but the effect is immediate. You are not being punished, she says. You are being examined, Connor scoffs. For what? For believing, Judge Judy replies. That your words do not carry weight. She flips the page. Read the next message. Connor hesitates this time. Just a fraction too long, Judge Judy notices. So, she says evenly. Now you are choosing silence. Connor's jaw tightens. His voice comes out lower. I do not remember sending that. Judge Judy lifts her gaze. Interesting. Because earlier, you said you never said anything like that. The gallery murmurs again. Louder now. The bailiff shifts his stance. Judge Judy closes the folder gently. Mr. Harwick, she says, this is the moment where confidence usually cracks. Connor forces a smile. I am fine, but his hands are gripping the edge of the table now, knuckles white, armor thinning, and Judge Judy can already see exactly where it will break. The page feels heavier when Judge Judy lifts it again, not because of the paper but because of what it implies. Connor watches her hands now. He does not look at Lila. He does not look at the audience. His attention locks onto the document like it is the only thing standing between him and something irreversible. Let's talk about the signature, Judge Judy says, her voice even, almost conversational. Connor exhales sharply. There is nothing to talk about. That is not real. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow. Interesting choice of words. She holds the page up just enough for the camera to catch it, a neat signature at the bottom of the agreement. Confident, clean, practiced. The kind of signature someone uses when they believe no one will ever question it. Miss Rivera, Judy says, turning slightly, is that your signature? Lila shakes her head immediately. No. I have never signed that. Connor scoffs. Of course she would say that. Judge Judy does not react. She simply places the document beside another sheet. Lila's driver's license copy, already part of the record. 2 signatures. Side by side. The room leans in. Same name, Judge Judy says. Different hand. Connor shifts in his seat. People sign differently all the time. Judge Judy nods. They do. But habits tend to repeat. She points with her pen. The loop on the R. The pressure on the downstroke. The spacing. This signature is confident. Fast. Unhesitating. She glances at Lila. Miss Rivera, how do you normally sign legal documents? Lila swallows. Slowly. I double-check everything. Judge Judy looks back at Connor. That tracks. Connor laughs again, but this time, there is panic under it. This is ridiculous. Are we seriously doing handwriting analysis now? No, Judge Judy replies calmly. We are doing credibility. Connor's attorney leans forward again. Your Honor, unless there is forensic proof, Judge Judy cuts him off without raising her voice. Counsel, unless you would like me to question how this document entered your possession, I suggest you let me finish. The attorney leans back, silent. Judge Judy returns her focus to Connor. You said earlier this agreement meant nothing, that it was never finalized. Yes, Connor snaps. Because it was not. Then help me understand, Judy says. Why it exists, with a signature your plaintiff denies. And why it benefits only you. Connor rubs his jaw, the movement sharp. I did not forge anything. Judge Judy does not argue. She simply waits. Silence stretches. Connor fills it, voice rising. If something was signed, it was probably done by an assistant. I have people for that. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. So now you are saying someone else signed on her behalf. Connor hesitates. I am saying, mistakes happen. Mistakes, Judge Judy repeats, do not usually include threats and leverage. She taps the page once. This clause, she says, activates only after signature. Connor's face drains just a shade. Lila's voice breaks the quiet. I never agreed to anything. I told him I needed time. Judge Judy nods slowly. And yet the document suggests time was not an option. Connor's foot taps again, frantic now. This is being twisted. Judge Judy leans forward, her expression unreadable. Mr. Harwick, a forged signature, is not a misunderstanding. Connor straightens. You cannot prove that. Judge Judy's gaze locks onto his. Not yet. She closes the folder with deliberate care. But what concerns me, she adds quietly, is how comfortable you were acting as if it already belonged to you. Connor opens his mouth to protest, then stops, because for the first time, he realizes the room is no longer questioning whether something went wrong. It is questioning who did it, and his name is the only one sitting at the table. The room does not erupt, it settles. That is how Judge Judy knows the shift has happened. Connor is still talking when she leans back in her chair, folding her hands together as if the argument has already ended. His voice fills the space fast, defensive, layered with just enough outrage to sound rehearsed. You are turning this into something it is not, he says. My family has worked hard for what we have. I am not some criminal. Judge Judy lets him finish. She always does. When he finally stops to breathe, she speaks calm, controlled, devastating in its simplicity. No one accused you of being a criminal, she says. You accused yourself of being untouchable. Connor scoffs. That is not what I said. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. It is exactly what you meant. The gallery murmurs again, but softer now, less shock. More recognition. The kind of sound people make when something finally clicks into place. Connor leans forward, palms flat on the table. You are treating me differently because of who my father is. Judge Judy's eyes sharpen. No, she replies. I am treating you differently because of how you behaved when you thought your father mattered here. The words land like weight. Connor opens his mouth to argue, then stops. His confidence flickers. Not gone yet, but thinner, frayed at the edges. Judge Judy turns her attention to Lila. Miss Rivera, when you received those messages, did you believe Mr. Harwick had the power to follow through on his threats? Lila nods. Yes. Because he said he did. And because everyone told me he did. Connor shakes his head. I never said I would use my father. Judge Judy looks back at him. You did not have to. She pauses, letting the silence stretch. Privilege does not always announce itself, Judy continues. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just assumes. Connor laughs weakly. This is absurd. You are punishing me for being born into something. Judge Judy leans forward again, voice steady. No. I am holding you responsible for what you chose to do with it. The bailiff shifts closer. Not threatening, just present. A reminder that this room answers to one authority, and it is not Connor's last name. Connor's voice cracks as frustration bleeds through. You are acting like I ruined her life. Judge Judy gestures gently toward Lila. I am not acting. I am listening. Lila lifts her head higher now, Her shoulders are no longer folded inward. I lost sleep. I lost clients. I almost closed my business because I thought fighting back would make things worse. Connor looks at her. Really looks at her. For the first time, something uncomfortable passes across his face, not guilt yet, but awareness. Judge Judy watches that moment closely. This is where entitlement usually ends, she says quietly. Not with handcuffs, with accountability. Connor exhales, long and shaky. So what? You are just going to decide I am the villain. Judge Judy shakes her head. No. You decided that the moment you thought the rules bent for you. She glances down at the file one more time. And now, she adds, you are learning they do not. Connor slumps back in his chair, jaw tight, eyes darting, searching for an exit that does not exist. Because for the first time in his life, privilege has stopped opening doors, and the consequences are finally standing in the doorway. If you were sitting in that courtroom, watching this moment unfold, would you call this justice or long overdue reality? Judge Judy does not reach for the folder this time. She reaches for something smaller. A flash of metal catches the light as she lifts a plain USB drive from beside the file. Unremarkable, easy to miss, the kind of object that never looks dangerous until it is. The room tightens instantly. Even before she speaks, Connor's breathing changes, shorter, shallower. What is that? He asks, too quickly. Judge Judy studies him for a beat longer than necessary. That, she says calmly, is what happens when words leave witnesses. Lila's hands tremble as she steps forward. I did not want to record him, she says quietly. But after the third message, I was scared. I wanted proof in case something happened. Connor jerks upright. You recorded me. His voice sharpens. That is illegal. Judge Judy does not flinch. Threats are illegal. Recordings are not, depending on jurisdiction and context. And in this court, she adds, credibility matters. Connor turns to his attorney. Say something. The attorney shifts uncomfortably but remains silent. Judge Judy inserts the drive. The screen behind her flickers to life. For a moment, there is only static, the hiss of background noise, the faint hum of a room that sounds painfully ordinary. Then Connor's voice fills the courtroom, not the polished version, not the courtroom version, the real one. You're not listening, the recording says, impatient, irritated. I am trying to help you, but you're making this difficult. Lila's recorded voice answers softly, hesitant. I just need time. Connor's jaw tightens as the audio continues. Time is not something you have, his voice says. People get tired of problems. I can make sure yours becomes invisible. A ripple of reaction moves through the gallery, a collective inhale. Connor shakes his head, already speaking over it. That is taken out of context. Judge Judy raises a hand. The audio keeps playing. You should stop pushing, his voice continues. I have influence. I would hate for things to get complicated for you. The words sit there. Heavy. Undeniable. The audio ends. Silence crashes into the room harder than any shout. Connor stares at the floor now. Not defiant. Not smiling. His face has gone still, like someone bracing for impact. Judge Judy breaks the silence gently. Mr. Harwick, earlier you said you never threatened the plaintiff. Connor swallows. That sounds worse than it was. Judge Judy nods once. It often does. She looks toward Lila. Is this the conversation you described? Yes. Lila replies, voice steadier now. That is exactly how it happened. Judge Judy turns back to Connor. Would you like to explain how this aligns with your testimony? Connor opens his mouth, closes it, tries again. I was frustrated. Judge Judy's tone stays level. Frustration explains tone. It does not explain intent. Connor rubs his face with both hands, composure slipping. I was under pressure. Judge Judy leans forward slightly. So was she. The camera would catch the change, now the power shift made visible. Connor no longer fills the room with sound. The room presses back. You believed your words carried weight, Judge Judy continues. And you used that belief. Connor whispers, barely audible. I did not think it would go this far. Judge Judy holds his gaze. That is the problem with intimidation. It always goes further for the person on the receiving end. Connor exhales shakily. His shoulders drop not in surrender, but in exposure. Judge Judy glances at the clerk. Then back at Connor. Mr. Harwick, she says. This recording does not just contradict you. She pauses. It explains you. Connor looks up, eyes wide now, not angry, afraid. And somewhere deep down, he knows something else too. This was never just her evidence. It was the moment the story stopped being his. The silence after the recording feels different, not tense, final. Connor sits perfectly still, as if movement itself might draw more attention to him. The confidence he walked in with, loud, careless, armored, has nowhere left to stand. Even the courtroom seems to lean away from him now, as if it no longer recognizes the version of himself he tried to sell. Judge Judy watches him closely, giving him space he does not deserve but desperately needs. This, she says calmly, tapping the edge of the desk, is the point where stories usually change. Connor exhales through his nose. I already said it sounded bad. Judge Judy tilts her head. It did not sound bad. It sounded intentional. He shakes his head, fast. You are twisting it. No, she replies. I am removing the polish. Connor straightens abruptly, trying to reclaim something: posture, power, control. I was under pressure. People expect things from me. I cannot just ignore that. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. People expect things from everyone, she says. Most of them do not threaten livelihoods. Lila shifts beside the podium. For the first time, she is not shrinking. She is watching him the way someone watches a storm pass, wary, but no longer frozen. Connor notices. That is what breaks him. You act like I planned all of this, he snaps, voice climbing again. I did not wake up trying to hurt anyone. Judge Judy's response is immediate, precise. Intent is not measured by wake-up routines. A few quiet murmurs ripple through the gallery. Someone coughs. A chair creaks. Small sounds. But Connor reacts to all of them now. Hyper-aware, exposed. I helped people, he insists. I opened doors. You decided which doors, Judge Judy replies. And who was allowed near them? Connor rubs his hands together, restless. This is turning into a witch hunt. Judge Judy leans forward just enough to reclaim the room. No. This is accountability catching up. She glances toward the clerk. Do we have confirmation of the audio chain of custody? Yes, Your Honor. The clerk answers. Verified. Connor's face tightens. He swallows hard. His attorney leans toward him, whispering urgently. But Connor barely listens. Mr. Harwick, Judge Judy says. Earlier you said you never believed your words could harm her. Connor's reply is automatic. I did not. Judge Judy pauses. Then explain why you warned her to stop pushing. Connor opens his mouth, then closes it. He tries again. Because people do not like trouble. Judge Judy nods once. And you positioned yourself as someone who could create it. Connor's shoulders sag. The fight drains out of him in real time. The smile is gone now. So is the noise. I did not think she would record me, he mutters. Judge Judy's expression does not change, but the meaning does. That sentence tells me everything. Lila inhales sharply. The room hears it. Connor looks up, eyes darting, searching again for rescue, for a name, a title, a shield. Nothing arrives. Judge Judy closes the folder and folds her hands. This court does not care who you know, she says evenly. It cares what you did. Connor nods once, small and mechanical. The confidence that once filled the room has collapsed inward, leaving only a man sitting at a table he no longer controls. Judge Judy glances down at one final document, one she has not mentioned yet. Mr. Harwick, she says. Before I rule, there is something else you should know. Connor looks up, and in his eyes now, there is no arrogance left to hide behind, only fear. Because whatever is coming next did not come from the woman he tried to silence. It came from someone much closer to home. The name lands softly and still manages to hit like a blow. The clerk reads it aloud, voice steady, professional. A senior aide from the mayor's office. Someone Connor recognizes instantly. Someone who used to return his calls on the first ring. Connor's head lifts slowly. His eyes widen, not in outrage, but in disbelief. For a moment, it looks like he might laugh again, that old reflex, but the sound never comes. His mouth opens. Nothing follows. Judge Judy watches him absorb it. This evidence, she says calmly, was submitted voluntarily. Connor shakes his head. That is impossible, is it? Judge Judy asks. Or is it inconvenient? The clerk continues, listing what was provided. Internal emails, calendar entries, notes from meetings that never made it into official records. A pattern begins to form, not dramatic, not explosive, just consistent. Quiet. Damning. Connor's attorney leans toward him, whispering urgently now. Connor does not respond. He is staring straight ahead, eyes unfocused, like someone realizing the ground they trusted has been hollow all along. Judge Judy folds her hands. The aides stated they were concerned about abuse of influence, she says. Specifically, how complaints involving your name were handled. Connor finally finds his voice. It comes out thin. My father does not know about this. Judge Judy meets his eyes. That may be the most dangerous assumption you have made today. A murmur ripples through the gallery, not shock this time, but recognition. The kind that comes when a story gets bigger than one person. Leela exhales slowly. She does not smile. She does not look relieved. She just looks validated. Connor leans forward, palms flat on the table again, but now the posture is different. It is not dominance. It is desperation. This is a setup, he says. They are trying to protect themselves. Judge Judy nods. Possibly. Or they are trying to stop something they should have stopped sooner. Connor's jaw tightens. So now I am the example. Judge Judy does not answer right away. She lets the silence sit between them, not cruel, just honest. Examples exist, she says finally, because patterns exist. Connor looks down. His hands are shaking now. He tries to still them, curling his fingers inward like he can hide the movement. He cannot. The clerk finishes reading. The last line echoes longer than the rest, submitted out of concern for ethical exposure. Judge Judy turns her gaze back to Connor. This court did not go looking for this, she says. It came here. Connor swallows hard. They had no right. Judge Judy's response is quiet, measured. Neither did you. For the first time since the hearing began, Connor does not argue. He does not interrupt. He does not deflect. He just sits there, smaller now, stripped of the illusion that loyalty is automatic when power is inherited. Lila shifts her weight, steady on her feet. She looks at Connor, not with anger, not with triumph, but with something close to clarity. Judge Judy glances at the file once more, then at Connor. Mr. Harwick, she says, this case is no longer about whether you crossed a line. Connor looks up slowly. It is about how many people helped pretend the line was not there. The room grows still again, not because something explosive is coming, but because something irreversible already has. Pause for a moment. When power protects someone long enough, does accountability feel like betrayal or justice? Connor starts talking faster. Too fast. The words tumble over each other, as if speed might outrun consequence. His hands move now, palms up, slicing the air gestures, meant to persuade, meant to control. The camera would catch the sweat gathering at his hairline, the way his eyes flick from Judge Judy to the clerk to the back row, searching for something solid to hold. You are making this sound like some kind of conspiracy, he says. People send emails. People complain. That does not mean I did anything wrong. Judge Judy does not interrupt. She watches him carefully, letting the rhythm of his own voice betray him. You said earlier, she finally says, that you never used your influence. I did not. Connor fires back. I explained how things work. Judge Judy nods once. Then help me reconcile that with these messages. She reads from the record, not dramatically, Not loudly, just enough. If this continues, permits will become complicated. You do not want unnecessary attention. I can make problems disappear. Connor shakes his head violently. That is not what I meant. Judge Judy looks up. Then tell me what you meant. Connor opens his mouth and stops. The pause is brief, but it is fatal. I meant, he starts again, slower now, that I was trying to protect her. A murmur ripples through the gallery. Lila's head lifts sharply. Her voice cuts through the room, clear and steady. Protect me from what? Connor turns toward her, irritation flaring. From yourself, from making mistakes. Judge Judy's eyes narrow. So you positioned yourself as the solution. Connor scoffs. Someone had to be realistic. Realistic, Judge Judy repeats. Or powerful. Connor leans back hard in his chair, frustration boiling over. Everyone does this. You think my father is the only one. You think this system runs on fairness. The words hang there, naked. Judge Judy does not react immediately. She lets the silence stretch long enough for Connor to realize what he has just admitted. You said everyone does this, she says quietly. Connor blinks. And you believed, Judge Judy continues. That made it acceptable. Connor rubs his face with both hands, composure slipping through his fingers. I did what was expected of me. Judge Judy tilts her head. Expected by whom? Connor laughs a brittle, broken sound. By the people who taught me how this works. The room goes still. Lila watches him now with a different expression, not fear, not anger, but recognition. Like the truth has finally stepped out from behind him. Judge Judy leans forward, resting her forearms on the desk. You have contradicted yourself 3 times in the last 5 minutes, she says calmly. First, you had no influence. Then you offered advice. Now you were protecting her from the system. Connor's voice drops. You are twisting my words. No, Judge Judy replies. You are finally saying them without a script. Connor's shoulders slump. His posture collapses inward, the mask too heavy to hold anymore. I did not think she would fight back, he mutters. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens. Because you thought she could not. Connor looks up, and for the first time, there is no performance left. No smirk, no bravado. Just a man staring at the consequences of believing he was untouchable. Judge Judy glances toward the clerk, then back to Connor. This court is not interested in who you were taught to be, she says. It is interested in what you chose to do. Connor swallows hard, because in that moment, he understands something he never had before. The mask did not fall because someone pulled it off. It fell because it finally could not hold the truth underneath it anymore. And Judge Judy is not finished asking questions. Judge Judy leans forward. Not sharply, not suddenly, just enough to change the temperature of the room. Connor feels it before he understands it. His shoulders stiffen, then sink, as if his body recognizes something his mind is still resisting. The confidence is gone now. The arguments are gone. What remains is a man running out of places to hide. Mr. Harwick, Judge Judy says quietly, I am going to ask you a question that has nothing to do with documents, recordings, or signatures. Connor nods once. He does not trust his voice yet. Who taught you, she asks, that this was acceptable? The question lands differently than all the others. Connor blinks. Once. Twice. He opens his mouth, ready to deny, to deflect, to perform, and then stops. The room waits. Even the gallery seems to understand that whatever comes next cannot be taken back. I watched, he says finally, voice low. I watched problems disappear. Judge Judy does not interrupt. I watched people complain. Connor continues. Faster now, like the truth has found momentum. And then, nothing happened. Permits stalled. Calls stopped getting returned. People learned. He swallows. So, I learned too. The courtroom feels heavier with every word. You learned, Judge Judy repeats gently. That power does not need to explain itself. Connor nods. I learned that if you never put it in writing, if you never said the quiet part out loud, you were safe. Lila inhales sharply. Not in fear and recognition. Judge Judy watches Connor closely. And when you met Miss Rivera, she says, you used what you were taught. Connor's eyes close for a moment. When he opens them, they are wet. Not with tears, yet with pressure. I did not think I could lose, he admits. I never saw anyone lose. Silence swallows the room. Judge Judy sits back slowly. The movement is deliberate, respectful of the weight Connor has just dropped into the open. This, she says, is the part people misunderstand about entitlement. Connor looks up. It is not born, Judge Judy continues. It is modeled. The words cut deeper than accusation ever could. Connor presses his lips together, fighting something inside himself. I did not think of it as hurting her, he says. I thought, this is just how things work. Judge Judy nods once. And that belief, she replies, is exactly why this matters. She turns briefly to Lila. Miss Rivera, hearing this, does it change what happened to you? Lila shakes her head slowly. No, she says, but it explains why he never thought I would win. Connor flinches. That one lands. Judge Judy looks back at him. Understanding where behavior comes from does not excuse it, she says. But it does tell this court what kind of consequence matters. Connor's hands rest flat on the table now. Still. No tapping. No fidgeting. I thought power was inherited, he says quietly. Judge Judy's voice softens not with mercy, but with clarity. Power is borrowed, she says, and it is always due back. Connor nods again. Slower this time. Deeper. The gallery does not murmur now. No one moves. The truth has settled into the room like dust after a collapse. Judge Judy glances down at her notes, then back up. This case, she says, was never about whether you were arrogant. Connor meets her eyes. It was about whether you would recognize what arrogance taught you before it taught someone else the same lesson. The silence that follows is not dramatic. It is devastating. And everyone in that courtroom understands the same thing at once. This is no longer about punishment. It is about responsibility. And nothing that comes next will feel small again. The courtroom feels different now, not charged, weighted, the kind of quiet that follows truth once it has nowhere left to hide. Connor sits motionless, eyes fixed on the table in front of him, as if the wood grain might offer answers the room no longer will. His shoulders have dropped, not in surrender, but in recognition, the slow realization that understanding arrives far too late to undo damage. Judge Judy allows the silence to breathe. She always does when the truth finally surfaces. This is not a moment to rush. Mr. Harwick, she says at last, her voice measured. What you described did not begin with you. Connor nods faintly. But it did not end with them either. Judge Judy holds his gaze. No, it ended with choice. He swallows hard. I thought if I figured it out early, I would be safe. Safe, Judge Judy repeats. From what? Connor exhales, the sound unsteady. From consequences. The word echoes longer than it should. Judge Judy turns slightly, shifting the focus of the room. Miss Rivera, she says. Stand where you are. Lila straightens instinctively. She no longer clutches her folder like a shield. It rests against her side, now still present, but no longer her armor. When you walked into this courtroom, Judge Judy asks, what did you expect would happen? Lila considers the question carefully. I expected not to be believed, she says honestly. I expected him to walk out the same way he walked in. Connor flinches. Judge Judy nods. And what does it cost someone? She asks gently. To live with that expectation. Lila's voice tightens. It costs sleep. Trust. You start planning your life smaller. The words land quietly and devastate more effectively than anger ever could. Connor lifts his head, eyes glassy now. I did not know, he says weakly. Judge Judy does not respond immediately. You did not know, she repeats finally. Or you did not look. Connor's lips part. No answer comes. Judge Judy folds her hands together. This court sees many people who realize too late that understanding is not the same as accountability. She says, insight does not erase impact. Connor nods slowly. I know. Judge Judy's tone remains calm, but the weight behind it deepens. The cost of learning too late, she continues, is that others already paid the price. Lila looks down briefly, then lifts her chin again. Connor's voice breaks through the quiet. I cannot undo it. No, Judge Judy agrees. But you can stop pretending it was accidental. Connor exhales sharply, a sound caught between regret and relief. I do not want to be this person. Judge Judy meets his eyes. Then you should understand what that person took. She gestures subtly toward Lila. Time, safety, confidence. Connor nods again. Slower now. Deeper. The truth has weight, and he is finally carrying it. Judge Judy leans back in her chair, the moment shifting once more, not toward anger, not toward mercy, but toward resolution. This court does not measure remorse by words, she says. It measures it by what happens next. Connor sits straighter, listening. Judge Judy turns to Lila. Miss Rivera, she says. Before I rule, I need to ask you one final question. The room stills again, not with fear this time, but with gravity. Knowing everything you know now, Judge Judy asks, what does justice look like to you? Lila inhales slowly, and in that breath, the entire courtroom waits, because whatever she says next will not just shape the verdict. It will define what consequence truly means. Lila does not answer right away. She breathes first. The pause stretches, not awkward, not forced, but necessary. Judge Judy waits without moving, giving the moment the respect it deserves. This is not testimony now. This is truth, deciding how it wants to stand. I do not want him ruined, Lila says finally, her voice calm, deliberate. I want him stopped. Connor lifts his head slowly. Not defensive, not angry, just listening. I want it on record, Lila continues, that what he did was wrong. Not misunderstood. Not exaggerated. Wrong. She swallows once, and I want to be able to run my business without wondering who might punish me for saying no. The room absorbs her words in silence. Judge Judy nods. You are not asking for revenge. No, Lila says. Revenge would not give me back what I lost. Judge Judy leans forward slightly. And what did you lose? Lila's eyes flicker not to Connor, but to the floor, where the truth feels heavier. Time. Confidence. I stopped trusting my instincts because I thought they would get me hurt. Connor closes his eyes. Judge Judy lets that sit before speaking again. This is where courts often disappoint people, she says quietly. Because justice cannot rewind lives. She turns her gaze back to Connor. It cannot give back the months she spent afraid. It cannot erase the leverage you held over her. Connor nods once. I know. But, Judge Judy continues, her tone firming, justice can do something else. She looks back to Lila. It can draw a line. It can say clearly that what happened here is not acceptable. That power does not excuse harm. Lila nods slowly. Judge Judy straightens in her chair. Justice fixes records. It does not fix wounds. That part takes something else. Connor speaks softly, almost to himself. I thought winning meant never being questioned. Judge Judy meets his eyes. Winning is irrelevant in this room. Connor exhales. I see that now. Judge Judy pauses, then adds, seeing it now does not erase what came before, but it does determine what comes after. She glances down at her notes, then back up again. Miss Rivera, she says, this court hears what you are asking for. Accountability, protection, clarity. Lila nods. That is enough. Judge Judy turns to Connor. And you, she says, have learned something today that many people with access never do. Connor looks up. That silence protects the wrong person. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens, not in anger, but in recognition. Correct. The room feels steadier now, less like a battlefield, More like a reckoning that has already happened. Judge Judy reaches for her pen again, the same deliberate motion from the beginning, now carrying different weight. "I am ready to rule," she says. Connor straightens in his chair. Lila squares her shoulders. No one speaks. No one moves. Because everyone understands the same thing at once. Justice is about to be delivered not as punishment alone, but as a line that will not be crossed again. Judge Judy does not reach for the gavel. Not yet. Her hands rest calmly on the desk, fingers interlaced, as if she is holding the weight of the room in place. The courtroom is silent in a way that feels intentional, like everyone understands that whatever comes next deserves to arrive without interruption. "Mr. Harwick," she begins, her voice steady. "Stand up." Connor rises slowly. There is no defiance in him now, no performance. He stands the way people do when they know they are about to be measured not by reputation, but by record. Judge Judy looks at him for a long moment. Not to intimidate him. To be certain. "This court finds in favor of the plaintiff," she says plainly. The words do not explode. They settle. Lila closes her eyes briefly. Just one breath. Relief does not rush in, it unfolds. Judge Judy continues. "You will pay restitution for the financial losses caused by your actions. You will cover legal costs. And this ruling will be documented fully, without redaction." Connor nods once. He expected this. Maybe hoped for it. Something clean. Something final. But Judge Judy is not finished. "This court also finds that your conduct demonstrates misuse of perceived influence," she adds. "As such, this matter will be referred for further review." Connor's head lifts sharply. "Not because this is a criminal court," Judge Judy clarifies, "but because accountability does not stop at my bench." The gallery reacts a low, restrained murmur. Not satisfaction. Gravity. Judge Judy finally reaches for the gavel, lifting it just slightly. "Your last name," she says calmly, "has carried weight in places it never should have." Connor swallows. "In this courtroom," she continues, "it carries none." The gavel comes down once. Not loud. Final. Lila exhales a sound she has been holding for months. Connor remains standing, eyes forward, shoulders squared but stripped of tension. Whatever protection he thought the name provided has dissolved, replaced by something unfamiliar and uncomfortable. Consequence. Judge Judy looks at him again, not harshly, not kindly. "You are not being punished for who your father is," she says. "You are being held responsible for who you chose to be." Connor nods. Slowly. Accepting. Judge Judy turns to Lila. "Miss Rivera," she says, "this ruling does not restore what was taken from you, but it recognizes it. And that matters." Lila meets her gaze. "Thank you." Judge Judy's expression softens just a fraction. Then she looks back at Connor. "This court is adjourned," she says. The gavel strikes again. And in that sound, something else disappears, not loudly, not dramatically. A name that once opened doors now echoes hollow in the room it tried to dominate. What remains is not disgrace. It is truth. And it will follow him long after he walks out of this courtroom. The gavel's echo fades, and the room breathes again. Not all at once. Not loudly. Just a slow release. Like a storm finally passing without apology. People rise from their seats in pieces. Chairs scrape softly against the floor. Papers are gathered. No one rushes. It feels wrong to hurry after something this heavy. The camera would linger on the empty space between the benches, the absence where arrogance once stood so confidently. Lila remains still for a moment longer. Her hands rest at her sides now, empty. The folder that once felt like a shield sits on the table. Forgotten. She does not smile. Relief, when it comes, is quieter than victory. It settles in her shoulders, in her breathing, in the simple fact that she can stand without bracing for impact. She turns toward the exit, sunlight spilling in from the hallway beyond. Each step feels lighter, not because justice fixed everything, but because it finally acknowledged the truth. Connor lingers. He does not follow immediately. He stares at the bench where Judge Judy sits, now writing, already moving on to the next case, the next truth. The world does not pause for anyone, not even those who thought it would. For the first time, Connor looks ordinary. No posture of importance, no practiced confidence. Just a man learning that consequences do not shout, they arrive quietly and stay. He exhales, long, uneven. The bailiff opens the door. Connor nods once, not to anyone in particular, and walks out. The hallway does not bend around him. No one clears a path. His name means nothing here anymore, and somehow, that realization hurts more than punishment ever could. Judge Judy finally looks up. Her eyes sweep the room, the empty seats, the silent bench, the space where power tried to argue with truth and lost. There is no satisfaction in her expression, only calm, the kind that comes from doing what is necessary, not what is easy. She taps her pen once. Final. Complete. The courtroom empties completely now. Lights hum. The door closes. Justice did not roar today. It did not embarrass. It did not seek revenge. It simply stood firm when arrogance demanded immunity. And in the end, that was enough. Because power always believes it will be protected, until one room, one voice finally says no.